Hi, my name is Greg Kulick. I'm a director of technology, professional learning provider, former high school history teacher, and huge fan of Focusable. So, Focusable allows us to help identify instances in our day where a little bit of rest, kind of calming our mind and body to get ready to transition into an instance of longer sustained focus, is something that we really want to be able to do. And this app is built to help us do that. Now, having elementary age children of my own, I kind of understand and recognize some of the transitions that take place in an elementary classroom, whether we're transitioning from maybe reading groups to small group circle time, or we're transitioning from coming in from recess back into the classroom to work on maybe math groups or reading groups or writing groups. So all of those instances of transition in the classroom, maybe even especially in an elementary classroom, but maybe in a middle school classroom as well, are really times in which a little bit of calmness and doing an activity, whether you're calming yourself through breathing or through a physical tense and relax activity, are really going to help us be able to then help students transition over into quality focus around whatever that experience or part of the lesson or part of the day is that you've designed. Now, one of the things that I also recognize, especially working with younger students, is that having every student on their own device or every student on their own Chromebook might not be the best experience in that moment to really guide the class through this kind of recharge and relaxation and then into their focus. So what I want to share with you is how you can actually use Focusable for the ability to have a whole class experience where everyone is going to be relaxing at the same time, and then everyone's going to transition into that focus work. So with that as the backdrop, kind of think about your classroom environment where you might have maybe one teacher laptop or desktop or one teacher mobile device, and you can use that being projected in the front of the classroom to kind of guide the whole class through that experience. So with that, I'm going to jump into the mobile app and jump into the web app to show you what this is like when you're going to kind of walk your whole class through this experience together. So what we'll do here is start with the mobile app. Imagine that you have a personal device, a phone, or maybe an iPad that you can connect to a projector in your classroom and kind of have this projected in for all of your students to see. So what we'll basically do is create a progression. A progression is the instance of any sort of relaxation, calmness, and then focus work that you'd like to do. So maybe you'll have a progression around transitioning from recess into math, or you'll have a progression around transitioning from kind of group time, circle time to start the day into your reading groups. Something like that would make sense at this grade level in this kind of scenario. Now the progression is going to be for everyone in the group. So while you're in your account creating this, you're really creating a progression that's going to be used for all members of your class, and you're doing this kind of collective experience. So I'm going to just tap new. That's going to get us into the progression. Now notice the app is broken into two experiences. We have recharge and then charge, and this is also mimicked in the web version, the exact same experience. So the recharge is really the calmness phase. So imagine that you have students all sitting at their desks or sitting in a circle. They're looking at the projector, your device, whether it's your laptop or a phone or a tablet, is being projected. And we're going to start in the recharge phase. We simply hit start, and we have 2 minutes of kind of calmness that we're working on. So across the bottom of the screen here, this is where you will find the specific activities that you can do. So maybe it's a box breathing experience, kind of breathing in, holding, breathing out, and you can do that for a number of instances, and the app walks you through it. Maybe it's a tense and relax experience. So there's all sorts of experiences that are going to be built in and are built in that they've put into the recharge phase. At the end of every recharge experience, you're given the ability to reflect directly in the application. So what we're going to do is let this recharge timer kind of run down to 0, and then we'll automatically be bumped to the ability to use our front-facing or external camera to record a reflection about our experience during that recharge, rest, or calmness phase. So let's let this timer run down, and then I'll show you what that looks like in the app. So as the timer is running down, you'll notice that as soon as it hits 0, it's going to bring us directly to that reflection experience. So now we can either use the front-facing or the rear-facing camera. So this is a great experience for educators or students to provide a little bit of reflection, kind of thinking about that recharge phase. Now, if you want to skip this, you can. We'll take one more deep breath, and then we actually get to tag a keyword of how we were feeling during that recharge experience. And now it brings us directly into the charge phase. Now, the charge phase is really to have some accountability, use this embedded timer to do the actual work, to focus on the actual work that you have planned. So in this kind of scenario of one device projected for the whole group, maybe we're shifting over into 15 minutes of really focused work on our math experience, or we're shifting over to 15 minutes of work in reading groups or writing groups or whatever it might be, or we're doing station rotations and we'll do those rotations for 5 minutes at a time, or we're doing really 5 minutes of focused work. So now this can be projected, we can have the countdown timer, or the classroom teacher can simply use this on their own, but you have this kind of group accountability that's embedded here. Once we kind of engage with that countdown timer, and then when we're done with this, we'll simply advance, tap the arrow off to the right, and we get to advance to an opportunity to record our thinking. We can have a little bit of a reflection. So this might be a really powerful way where you might have students reflect on what they worked on, reflect on how they felt or what they completed during that 5, 10, 15, 20-minute focus time. You can skip that if you like to. You don't have to do it. I'll simply tap skip. Everyone has a moment to kind of breathe and relax one more time, and then we can use a tag to kind of measure how we felt during that focus time. So I'll say that we are in flow. Give this a moment to log the progression. I'll tap done in the top left-hand corner. I can name the progression. So I've named it group math work. I'll simply tap save. Now that progression is saved here, and that's our whole group kind of focusing on their math work. I could come back into this one anytime I'd like to. And then again, when we're using this just to kind of gauge and measure and have some accountability on our math work, we can do a recharge, relaxation, rest, calmness, and then shift over to charge when we're ready to have that kind of sustained focus work. Now, when we're over on the web version, maybe you're going to jump from one device to another, or you have a laptop, a desktop, or a Chromebook. You can log into Focusable, getfocusable.com, and I'm logged into the same account, and it syncs across one device to another. So maybe I'd like to engage with this group math work, but I'm using my laptop this time to project it. Same kind of scenario. I can go into that progression that I've created. I can always create a new progression right here in the web version if I'd like. I'll jump into the one that I previously created, and then you'll see it looks almost identical to the app version. We'll again engage with that recharge, that calmness experience to prepare us to shift over to the charge, where we're going to set our timer for however long we'd really like to do that focused experience. We save it when we're done, kind of provide our reflection, log our keyword of how we're feeling, and then we kind of have a document of spending 15 minutes, for example, of focused math work. And we've really created that scenario where we can reasonably transition from one experience during the day. Maybe, like I said, it's coming in from recess. We really need to experience some calmness to prepare to focus on our math work, reading, whatever that might be. So I hope by this little walkthrough, you have a really good sense of what they've created at Focusable, how it can really allow you to create those instances of transition and rest to be able to focus with your students in your class. I'm really excited about the potential, even in a single device classroom where students don't even have to log into the app, that you can really leverage this to create a kind of improved ability for your students to focus on whatever you'd like to target in your classroom. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have success using Focusable in your classroom.